Hi everyone, Menachem Brody here for Human Vortex Training once again for your detailed information as to why it is very important to make sure that you are fueling properly and how to bring your body composition down to be more favorable going into the season. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, North America, right now in Europe, it is winter. And right now where I am in Europe, it is rainy and windy. So let me tell you, the ride this morning was fun to say the least. But as we're going into things here, talking about nutrition in detail for body composition, there's a saying that I really like for endurance athletes in the Northern Hemisphere. And what that is that you don't watch what you eat between Thanksgiving and Christmas. You watch what you eat between Christmas and Thanksgiving. And the reason for that I like that is that between Thanksgiving and Christmas, for a lot of us, that's the dead middle of our either our transition if we race cross, or if you're doing road season, it's right in the middle of your base, and it's family time. It's a time where your mom's making the sweet potato pie that is so good you gotta take your shoes off so you can wiggle your toes. You don't want to cut yourself back. How many times a year do you get to do that? If you live in the same city as your parents, maybe pretty frequently, but most of us, not so much. So why make yourself suffer? Kathy Dooley, who is an expert on movement in New York City, had a blog post earlier this week. She was at a bakery, I believe, and she wanted a croissant, and her boyfriend said, go ahead and eat the croissant. There's nothing wrong with it. If you'd like to have it, go ahead. You know, the diet shouldn't be your death, or something to that effect. And her blog post is very short, and it talks about how that's exactly what a diet should be, is not restriction. It should be that you enjoy what you're eating and the results of it. And that's really what we want to remember as we're going into trying to scale back on our body composition and get us more favorable and lighter for the race season, so to speak, getting leaner. The problem that a lot of us have is we scale way too far back and we get into what I would call athletic starvation. The problem with this is that, and what athletic starvation is actually, is where we're training so much and we're not eating enough to support that. So this generally won't apply to those of you who are training 6 hours a week or less. The caloric expenditure, unless you're doing super high intensity for that amount of time per week, isn't going to be that much higher. So you would eat more on the days that you're training. So you would want to replace plus a little bit, maybe 100, 150, 200 calories more than you did for the training, plus your basal metabolic rate, or how many calories you burn in a day. But the problem that a lot of us have is we say, oh, I'm going to ride more, eat less, I'll lose a kilo a week, it'll be awesome. That's a lot of weight to lose in a week. I want everybody to know that 1 pound of fat, or just under a half a kilo of fat, is 3,500 calories. 3,500 calories is 1 pound of fat. And the reason why we need to remember that is because what we need to do is we need to slowly change the demands of our body to support the lean muscle mass. And that's one of the first things that goes whenever we're going into that athletic starvation mode, is we're not eating enough carbohydrates. So our glycogen stores are too low. And what happens with that is we're impairing the body's ability to do work. Glycogen is broken down. You get it so that your body is able to fuel. It's a primary fuel of the body, right? So if you're not eating enough and you have low glycogen, which are stored carbohydrates, the training adaptations and the intensities that you can do won't be there. On top of the fact that if you're not eating enough for the amount of stress you're placing on the body starts to freak out and says, hey, we're not eating enough. We need to get rid of some of this muscle mass, because carrying more muscle means you have to burn more calories, you have to eat more calories, and it starts transitioning to carry more adipose tissue or more fat. So this is a negative loop. If you're not eating enough carbohydrates, you're not going to be able to support your immune system, and your nervous system is going to be shot. And what that means is you're going to be at a higher risk for overtraining or overuse, and you're also, aka fatigue, carrying over, and you're also going to have a higher risk of infection and illness. And the number one thing that we want to do as a coach is I want to keep you out being able to do the things you like to do, i.e. training. So it's really important that we're eating enough to support how much we're training, as well as giving our body the building blocks to get stronger from that. So one of the things that I want to put out there, again, if you're training less than 6 hours a week, or you're not training at a super high intensity, you don't need to increase your caloric intake that much. For a 180-pound rider, you're going to need, if you're training around 10 hours a week, you're going to need 2,800 to about 3,200 calories, depending on what your base is going to look like. One of the things that I want to make sure I stress to you guys is that immediately after your rides, you absolutely positively must eat as soon as possible. There were studies a number of years ago that said within a half hour you should eat. Now they're saying 15 minutes. The reason eating a good, solid, proper meal as soon as you're done with your training is because during your stress, those cortisol levels, which we talked about before for athlete starvation, the cortisol levels are going to skyrocket during your training, because we're going beyond the time where we feel really good on the bike. You know, if we just felt good on the bike, everybody would be racing the Tour de France. But the way we get stronger is we push those physiological limits where we're comfortable on the bike. So if you're just starting now from being off from October when the weather got cold, your feel-good time on the bike may be 45 minutes. So we need to ride for 55, and then 75, and then 90, and slowly build you back up. But because we're pushing that feel-good time, or where we have the endorphins and everything's working well, and now it's starting to be stressful, the body's releasing cortisol. So as soon as you come back from your ride, by eating, you're giving the body the fuel that it needs to recover, and that will help drop your cortisol levels. On top of that, by eating right away, you're going to have more energy during the day, better recovery, and you're going to see your training results go up. So by eating more when you're training more, you're going to be able to get fitter, not the other way around. Now, once we have talked to a dietitian, we know exactly where we want to be as far as food intake. A lot of us like to focus on the scale. So I mentioned this in the shorter video, and I said don't weigh yourself every single day. At most, weigh yourself on the same day of the week, first thing in the morning, after you go to the bathroom, stark naked. I personally use the scale once every 2 weeks. Usually it's the first of the month. First thing in the morning, after I go to the bathroom. And the reason this is important is because when you're looking at the numbers on the scale, it's just a number. It's not telling you how well you're recovering from your training. It's not telling you how much stress you're under from life. And it's not telling you that you're fueling well enough. You need to make sure that you're fueling your body to get stronger. So a lot of the athletes that come to me that are looking to get stronger, and they say they want to lose weight, I usually have them, again, it's case by case, I usually have them eat more, because most of them are underfueling. They're not eating anywhere near what they need to. And that's really such a sad thing to see, that they're stuck in this mentality, like those of us, or those who sit at a desk all day, go home, sit and watch the sofa, TV on the sofa, that they need to eat less. But really they need to eat more. So that's not everybody, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. If you want more detail on this, Matt Fitzgerald has a great book called Racing Weight. He does a really nice job of talking about how when you start fueling, your body will find its proper racing weight. And he also has released, in the last couple of years, I think 2 or 3 years, he released a book called the Racing Weight Quick Start Guide. And this is a 4-week weight loss plan for endurance athletes. I don't like the title only because he says a 4-week weight loss plan. I think that was done by the editors of the book as a marketing thing. But really what it does is it gives you a plan to make sure you're fueling enough in order to lose some weight and get you down. Now, here's the other thing, and this is the other reason why I really like the 4-week or the Racing Weight Quick Start Guide. This is a perfect time of year to work on your strength. Guys, my background is strength and conditioning. I got into cycling coaching 7 years ago because I was seeing that I could do a lot more good in endurance athletics, specifically cycling. Strength training is not bad if you do it right. For those of you who attended or have purchased my USA Cycling webinars that I did for the coaches on strength training for the bike is incredibly beneficial when you do it right. It's a matter of having the right sets, right repetitions, right weight, as well as targeting the right areas. So the areas that everybody can always use more strength on, 99% of the time, is the stabilization of the pelvis and the spine and the rib cage together, as well as working on the glutes. Because the glutes in cyclists tend to kind of shut off a little bit, and we have what is called crossed pelvis syndrome. I won't get into that. But these are areas that you can do at home. You don't need a full gym. There are a lot of different programs out there I'm working on one right now. Hopefully that will become mainstream for you guys. But if you look, Tom Danielson has Tom Danielson's Core Advantage is a great book. So there are items out there that will give you a solid base of core that will give you more lean muscle mass that will absolutely help you on the bike. I have an athlete of mine who's now a professional sent me a video of them riding on the bike on the rollers after 4 hours being outside, and they're freaking solid on the saddle. He sent it to me and I said, how far in is that, an hour? He said, no, this is after being outside for 4 hours. This is my last 20 minutes of a 5-hour ride. It was solid. And what that does, by stabilizing the pelvis and the rib cage, it's allowing you to produce power and put it all to the pedals, or most to the pedals, more to the pedals. So it's something very important to think about is strength training. And we don't want huge muscles, we just want to increase the density of the muscles and the ability to do their jobs and resist fatigue, and that will increase performance. Along with the strength training is we want to start eating cleaner. So there's a couple different ways to do this. Now, I'm not a dietitian. I want to stress that again. You should go see your family doctor for a full checkup and a full blood panel. I strongly recommend that, and an EKG for all cyclists. In the US, it's not required. In other countries, you have to go yearly for an EKG, and you have to get tested to make sure that you're not going to be at risk for a heart attack, God forbid. But the thing is that we want to make sure that you guys are healthy and able to go forward. Now, the nutrition advice I'm going to give you to help you get your body composition down is not a fad. This is going to be staples you're going to see for years and years and years to come. It's been around before, and it'll be around many years past this. Now, one of the books that I do like that does talk about this is Bob Seebahar's Nutrition Periodization for Athletes. This is just one approach. What I like about it is it's in that mindset of not restriction. So we mentioned Dr. Kathy Dooley before. It's not a restriction diet. It's a matter of making the right choices regularly throughout your day, throughout your life. And he does a great job of breaking it down. He gives you fuel tips. He gives you ideas as to what your plate should look like, preseason, in-season, taper, and off-season, page 98. This is his second edition. So it gives you a great overview of what your choices should look like. Now, with that being said, personally, when I myself am looking to tone down or tone up or better body composition, or my athletes come to me looking for better body composition, the first thing that I recommend to them is increase your fresh fruits and vegetables, specifically the vegetables. The vegetables are full of micronutrients, they're full of vitamins and minerals, they're very low calorically, they have a lot of nutritional density and nutritional value of micronutrients, which are very important, as well as fiber. So fiber helps clean everything out, keeps your intestines healthy, also fills you up as well. So this time of year, I'll tell them take a double portion of dark leafy greens. Make sure you're adding some other colors, so yellow, orange, making sure you're getting stuff that's regional to you. The fruits you need to be a little bit careful of, but when I say adding fruits and vegetables, that does not mean adding fruit juice. This is actually one of the things that we want to cut back on this time of year. Great for in-season because it adds a lot of calories that we'll need, but this time of year we really want to focus on whole fruits. So pomegranates, I believe, are in season if you're in the right place. Oranges, grapefruits, apples, grapes. Try and eat more of the whole fruit because you'll still get some sugars, but you'll get fibers. And for those of you who eat apples, choose different varieties because each of the different skins have the different colors are a sign that there's different types of micronutrients there that you're going to get. But this time of year, you want to get as many vegetables as possible. The Northeast, you have kale, you have turnips. Potatoes are also great. They are starchy, yes. Potatoes are actually the only vegetable that you can only eat that one thing, and you'd be able to survive along with water. That's why the potato famine, or the potato blight in Ireland, and the famine there was so devastating, is because so many people were relying only on potatoes for sustenance. So it's the only vegetable that you can do that. I'm not condoning only eating protein, eating potatoes, but I'm just saying that it's a cool fact to know. So with all that, with all those fruits and vegetables, what are you going to do? Well, the best thing to do is to cook. Now, I know that's really hard for some of you because we're short on time. If you look at the Facebook page for Human Vortex Training, here January 3rd or 4th, I believe it was, 2015, I posted 33 3 3 ingredient crock pot recipes. So you jump in the 3 ingredients and you can leave. So a lot of them are mixes. They're not as healthy. So one of them is Hidden Valley Ranch dressing, chicken I think it is. You take a packet and dump it in. So it may not be the healthiest, but it gets you a start towards a home-cooked meal, and that's going to be a better choice than buying from a store where you don't know, or a restaurant where you don't know how it was prepared. The Joy of Cooking. This is the baseline cookbook I would recommend for everybody. Julia Childs has a great cookbook as well, which I've lent out numerous times and it's never been returned, so I've bought 6 or 7 copies of it this time. It's more French food, but it's, you know, that's cycling French. Je parle français. Oui, oh, baguette. It's an excellent cookbook, The Joy of Cooking. It is phenomenal. It has recipes for everything. The cookies in here are great. Tofu salad, tempeh, phenomenal. It goes by ingredients, so you can figure out what's in the fridge, what you can eat. If you're a beginner, or you want something more simplistic, I am a huge fan of Bijou Thomas and Alan Lim's The Feed Zone Cookbook. Easy, quick, simple, and holistic cooking. Fresh fruits and vegetables. They don't always turn out like the pictures, but that'll come with time, perhaps 3 or 4 years later. But the recipes are easy, simple. They give you an idea as to how long it takes to cook and prepare, and what the serving sizes are, and what the calories and the macronutrient is. But the reason this is important this time of year, you cook at home, you'll find recipes that you'll like, you're more likely to experiment more with different fruits and vegetables that you haven't had before. But that's one of the best things you can do, is increase your vegetables and increase your fruits. We want to cut back on our rice and our pasta this time of year as well, unless you're in foundation and you're doing a lot of endurance. So if you're riding 8+ hours a week, or you're getting closer to 12 to 14, you're going to need the rices and the pastas because you need the caloric density. So we talked about the Chris Carmichael's Food for Fitness. It gives you a great idea as to how many calories if you want to go that route, or if you want to go based on your plate and what it looks like, you can do Bob C. Bahar's Nutrition Periodization for Athletes. I strongly recommend both of those books. This is the way to get you started. So please just think about it not in terms of I need to get my weight down. Think about leaning out. You can be racing at 1.5 kilos or 2 kilos heavier than your ideal race weight, but you're healthy, you're able to train, you're able to race, and you're strong. Whereas when you start cutting back and trying to lose weight specifically or strictly on the scale, you start to get sick, which means you're missing training days, or your training is going to be a lower caliber, and then you're not going to be as strong on the bike. And that's really what racing weight is talking about, is stop worrying about what the number on the scale is. Start worrying about how well are you recovering. Are you able to train and you're staying healthy? Because if you can't train quality or don't have quality training, you're not going to be getting stronger. So these are some points for you guys to lose weight this time of year. Thank you for watching the longer explanation for the weight loss. If you guys have more things you'd like to hear about, go ahead and post below. And just remember that as you go forward, and anytime you're looking to get more lean or just get healthier, eating more fresh vegetables, especially dark leafy greens, and eating more fresh fruit is not going to be a bad thing. You just have to be careful with the additives like fruit juice. It's really high in calories, but it's really going to help you guys in the long run. So thank you for watching, and remember, train smarter, not harder, and it's all about you.